Do I need to give this next gentleman an introduction? Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Pulver.
Whoa. It's a little surreal. Hanging out backstage, I actually have to... So thank you all for coming out tonight. It's been an interesting trip for me. I got here a few hours ago from New York, and from there before that I was in Tel Aviv, and before that I forgot where I was. And I tell you though, so just curious, how many people here have been to either one of the 140 Conf meetups or conferences in the past? And wow, okay, good. And some of you haven't. So a little bit about why we're here, and so I'm here for you. Is really the bottom line of it. About a little more than a year ago, I started to explore the effects of the real-time internet on different things, and I really didn't know about what I was really doing when I started out. I really was trying to figure things out. It was back in February, I guess, of 2009, when Twitter was in the news so much, and I couldn't really figure out how much bullshit it was in terms of the way the media was interacting with Twitter, and the way that we had a YouTube presidency. And we saw Twitter with celebrity and the media and advertising and politics, and I was really curious about where this was going. And then I went to South by Southwest last year, and I was convinced that something had changed. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I decided to take a chance and do a conference in New York City, which I did in June of last year. And originally I thought I was doing an event looking at the effects of Twitter. And then I realized Twitter was just a part of the paradigm, but it really wasn't what the conference was about. And trust me, if you're the one creating the conference, it's kind of confusing. Particularly if you're trying to invite people to come and you can't even tell people what it's about. But it's hard. And then as time went on, what I realized and what I've actually discovered is something which I'll call, it's really a new social revolution. We have in our lifetimes and in history, we've seen lots of different revolutions. Typically it's about we the people, or about the way certain people come to power. And what I found very fascinating about what I'm experiencing, if I could look back a little bit in time, is about what I would call it's not about we the people, it's about me the people. And if you look back from 1969 until today, this is really nothing to do about Twitter at all, but some moment in time when ARPANET was first started to happen and people started to invest in R&D, ultimately that brought forward the broadband internet we have today, there's a change in how we as people connect. And right now there happens to be an open pipeline that allows people from all races, from all walks, all lives to actually find each other and discover each other. And that while some of you make a business out of it, there's something about this where people are discovering a voice. And you don't have to go too much into science fiction, whether you look at Dune or look at Matrix, but when you have prophecies of heroes rising up who will gain power when they become self-aware of what they can do, and only when that happens, that makes for great fiction. But the reality is, if you look at the last 2.5 or 3 years about some of your, maybe it's you, maybe it's your friends, the way that everyone around here has a voice to affect change, that things are different right now. I mean, who would have thought 3 years ago that businesses would be hiring executives to be chief listening officers, right? Who would think? Who would think that all of a sudden people actually are caring about what you have to say? Because it's not about how many followers you have. You just need to have one person amplify your voice. And this is a change that is affecting, I think, an entire generation of people. And I can sit here and cite people in this room. Where's Mark? Mark, you got to stand up. Where's Mark? Mark Hardly Normal. Where's Hardly Normal? He's here. Right. Stand up. Get up here. Get up here. First I'll give you a hug.
He gives the best hugs.
But I tell you, it's right? I mean, you use these platforms. So, does anyone here not know what Mark does? Mark, tell me what you do.
I scream real loud about poverty and homelessness, which is not really a sexy cause unless it's Thanksgiving. But thanks to all of you guys who, just like he said, you just need one person to magnify the voice. I mean, I lost my house to foreclosure. I had nothing. $45, laptop, camera, and an iPhone. There's homeless people that, I should say, formerly homeless people that slept inside last night and will sleep indoors tonight because I had the courage to get up and scream real loud.
is that we're living in a time right now that people's stories are starting to be heard. And more importantly, I think people are starting to listen. And it takes a lot of courage for people to stand up and scream, and particularly when some people are otherwise invisible. But if you talk loud enough, people do care. And this social revolution that we're experiencing, it's about you, about the me. What I find really fascinating, it's not about everyone or anyone, but it's about you, the individual person, and how you find a voice. And you may find this to be total bullshit, but let me tell you, the moment when you realize the next person you meet can change your life, you'll understand that there's actually real meaning behind these words, and that there's something real out there that doesn't really tie to words per se, but it's feelings. It's sort of like an energy. And the last year or so, I've gone around the world and been really honored to have a chance to bring together people, first in New York, and then in Los Angeles, then I went to London, went to Tel Aviv, then I did Barcelona, South by Southwest, and New York. And the one thing that's changed, I think, are more people are believing in themselves, more people are speaking up, more people are actually discovering they have this voice, and together they affect change. And I believe that this revolution, which I'm calling the connected me, will actually have a profound effect on the way many of us work and live. And it's not something that's happened yet. It's the individual me's that discover their power and their ability to affect change, but when the me's start to discover each other, it's a different world. And so, I know out of the LA conference last year, the two words that I learned how to spell were humanity and serendipity, which I can actually spell, and I couldn't before, but I never would think that at a business conference I'd be talking about humanity, or I'd be crying, or otherwise feeling really strong emotional feelings. But I think part of the secret for people who are trying to figure out where the money is, for people who's trying to figure out what this is all about, it goes beyond the dollars and the cents. It deals with you, the people, and how you connect with individuals. But if you're a smart business person, you actually allow yourself to have feelings. If you allow yourself to be vulnerable, if you allow yourself to put down your shield just a little bit, to feel the other people you're connecting to, amazing things will happen to you. And I've been pretty privileged the last year to run around the world and meet some pretty amazing people who are affecting lives of others that we otherwise never would have known. And so for part of what I've been looking at doing is how to affect change. And I believe that if you believe in yourself, that you're one step to actually affecting change. And one of the best gifts you can ever give someone is to believe in them and let them know about it. Because it's when you're starting out in business, it's really hard to take a chance. Particularly if you have a job, and to give something up to actually pursue a dream, it's really hard. But if you find the courage to do something, or if you see someone who's about to go on a journey, I don't know anything better than to actually try to go on that journey with them, maybe virtually, but to encourage them and to understand the life isn't necessarily a linear experience, but it's a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes it's making mistakes that you learn the most from. Because a good mistake, in fact, except for maybe deep research, most things we have in life that we take advantage of, that we just assume is part of our life, is someone else's good mistake. And it's the discovery of these things that help affect change, and that each and every one of you here today have that ability, whether you realize it or not, to actually examine what you're doing and make yourself, make the world a little bit better if you want it to be. It's friends of mine that have been able to align their passions with their work. Thank you. Can you take that off, please? Yeah, take it off, please. But I think it's really, if you could find ways to actually, be passionate about what you're doing and do it for a living, it's a privilege. And I'll tell you that what I've done the last 15 months is I've kind of been discovering this real-time internet. And I think that, while people will make billions of dollars from this commercially, I think at the same time there's this social experience that we're all starting, that they can be part of if you want to be. And I think, friends of mine just don't, individual people are affecting change, whether they're going to Africa to build classrooms for kids, whether they're raising money, millions and millions of dollars through charity, or whether or not they're just finding someone and believing in them. I mean, if as an entrepreneur, what's the worst possible thing someone can tell you as an entrepreneur? It's not that your idea sucks. It's not that it's not that you'll not be successful. No, I think the worst possible thing you could ever tell an entrepreneur is to get a job.